Pitt the Pumpkin Smashes Halloween by W.M. Cuppernell. Every Halloween at the pumpkin patch, there are big pumpkins, tall pumpkins, and fat pumpkins that match. This is the story about the meanest pumpkin anyone had ever seen. This is the story of how Pitt the Pumpkin smashed Halloween. Pitt the Pumpkin started as a bad seed, planted from a pumpkin smashed from a bad deed. From a teenager with a baseball bat, a pumpkin seed oozed into the ground, and that was that. This pumpkin was different, you should know. He was full of anger as he did grow. This pumpkin hated Halloween. He wanted to bash it. If he only had arms, he would try to smash it. For months he thought about it while he was growing in the ground. He grew faster than all the other pumpkins, becoming the largest in town. People would come far and wide to see how he grew. He hated it all, though no one had a clue. Pitt knew he would soon be picked out of his patch and carved into a jack-o'-lantern after being snatched. Pitt vowed he would not be picked without a fight. He would never be a carving on some doorstep on Halloween night. One night, a wicked witch flew into Pitt's patch, just 2 weeks before Halloween, with a pointed hat, broomstick, and skin that glowed green. Pitt saw his chance. He was the only pumpkin that could speak. There was no time to waste. He would be picked this coming week. At first, he struggled to make the wicked witch hear, but then he yelled sweetly, "Hey, beautiful, come over here." The witch was in shock. She almost got back upon her broom, hearing a pumpkin talk, fearing this might mean her doom. Pitt said, "No, beautiful, do not fly away. Please come here and listen what I have to say." The witch walked up to him and said, "Go ahead and tell, but try anything funny, and on you I will cast an evil spell." Pitt said, "No way, you're far too beautiful and smart, and I need a favor from you. Please, dear witch, have a heart." He began, "Please give me a body, 2 strong arms and legs, give me strong hands and feet. We can rule Halloween together. Now, don't you think that would be neat?" The wicked witch gave an evil laugh and said, "Why help you rule Halloween? I do not need you, pumpkin. I am the Halloween queen." Pitt gave a wicked, sinister-like smile. It was only half as friendly as a crocodile. He knew he needed to put on his charm and assure this wicked witch he meant her no harm. Pitt said, "You see, I truly need you in my life, and if I were human, I would ask you to be my wife. Clearly, I need to sweeten your witch pot, as you deserve so much better than what you have got. I will give you every child in this town if you do. You can have an endless buffet as my gift to you." The thought of having children to put in her pot, well, it turned the witch's answer to yes from a certainly not. Thinking of having children for dinner made the witch's head spin with glee. She gave an evil laugh, a true sight to see. She said, "Okay, Pitt, you'd better deliver," in an evil tone that would make anyone quiver. The witch got out her wand as it rained, the sky full of thunder and lightning, and yelled out some words that sounded quite frightening. She yelled, "Oh, pumpkin, stuck in this patch, I create you a body this night. Along with suspenders and a straw hat, this will make children run in fright." To his surprise, Pitt was raised suddenly to his new legs and new feet. He now had an evil face, mouth, and body. He would be a terror whomever he would meet. Now, with a body and 2 super strong arms, it was time to get revenge and do Halloween some real harm. For 2 full weeks, he stole every pumpkin he could see, smashing them deep in the woods, laughing happily. Meanwhile, everyone in town was feeling down, as soon there were no pumpkins left anywhere in town. But Halloween was still a go. There was still trick-or-treating. Early on Halloween night, Pitt and the Wicked Witch had a quick meeting. Pitt said, "Let me quickly tell you my plan. I will jump out of the darkness, the kids will see me, and run as fast towards the woods as they can. Then I will chase them to your house in the forest for your late night meal. You will know then that Pitt the Pumpkin always keeps a deal." The Wicked Witch licked her lips and then smiled with glee and said, "All I can eat children? Well, that sounds fantastic to me." Pitt waited until it was dark to start the show, to frighten the children wherever he'd go. He stole their candy and chased them deep into the woods, to a meadow with lots of smashed pumpkins. The children froze where they stood. Just the sight of Pitt was horribly scary. As he chased them further into the woods, the children became wary. Finally, hundreds of children stood in front of the Wicked Witch's house. All were frozen in place, scared as like a small mouse. The Wicked Witch squealed with delight as she came to the door, thinking that her dream had come true. How could she ask for more? Pitt smiled and said, "Here, beautiful, they are all yours for the taking." The witch smiled and nodded and said, "Yes, I cannot wait until those kids are baking." Pitt smiled on hearing this, but then it turned into a frown. The thought of hurting children suddenly made him feel down. Something was changing from somewhere inside. It began to start. He began to discover he did have a heart. Even though the plan was coming together, suddenly Pitt's mood had changed, just like the weather. Inside of himself, he heard something crack. He suddenly wanted to save the children from becoming a snack. All the anger and feelings he had before, they suddenly left him, causing him to shout, "No more!" Pitt suddenly felt sorry for what he had done, and no longer felt that smashing Halloween was any fun. He ran towards the children, causing them to scurry. They all ran back towards the town in a great hurry. The children were all safe. The Wicked Witch turned and yelled, "Pitt, what have you done?" and shouted, "I brought you out of that patch and made you someone." She said, "Now you are going to pay for ruining my dinner. So long, Pitt. You are for sure not a winner." She cast a spell, Pitt ducked and it missed. The witch was so angry that her eyes turned red as she hissed. Pitt ran past the witch and into her house through the door. Closing it quickly, he stood on the floor. Inside the house, he saw many pots prepared for a witch's brew, spellbooks all around, way more than a few. The Wicked Witch's broom was hanging there on the wall. It started to move as the witch began to call. Pitt trembled. What was he to do? If the witch's spell caught him, he knew he was through. The broom sailed past Pitt. Up the chimney it did fly, and soon it was back in the witch's hands. She then flew up in the sky. Outside of the house, he heard banging on the window frame. Then she cast a quick spell, and Pitt fell instantly lame. Pitt discovered his feet had disappeared, so he crawled on his belly to a spellbook that was near. When suddenly another spell hit his arm. The Wicked Witch was slowly taking him apart. Pitt was feeling alarmed. The Wicked Witch howled with delight and said, "Pitt, do you think I'm still beautiful? You'll have nothing left soon. In this I will be dutiful." Pitt grabbed the book as he had only his one hand, and luckily on just the right spell his finger did land. The spell was called "Cast Away an Evil Witch," and Pitt said it quickly with a fever-like pitch. He read loudly, "From the east to the west, to the shore to the mall, cast away all evil witches close to me, cast away all." Suddenly, the skies opened to a magnificent light. The Wicked Witch had disappeared from his sight. Pitt was relieved even though he had one arm, no legs or feet. He wished he had just let the kids trick or treat. Pitt went through hundreds of spells before finding the last in the book that read, "Reversing an Evil Spell," and that's the one that Pitt took. He read the spell quickly so his feet and arms were restored, and discovered that day Halloween was a great holiday that shouldn't be ignored. Pitt returned all the candy to the boys and girls in the town, and said, "I am sorry I smashed all your pumpkins, but you can have me all year round." The children were no longer frightened of him as his new goodness shined through. Pitt would protect them all, not just on Halloween, but all year, no matter whether 90 or 2. So, whenever you hear someone talking about this story, you will know what it means. You'll remember the time Pitt the Pumpkin smashed Halloween. The end.